Hello everyone, today I want to talk to you about how Ford in the United States admitted that they have lost the entire industry chain. In addition, in this battle of top players, BYD's half-year revenue has surpassed Tesla, and Musk has suffered a complete setback in Europe. If Musk's Tesla is considered the top player in the American auto industry, then in this year's first half, during this Mount Hua Sword Conference, Tesla has already become the defeated opponent of China's top player, BYD. On August 29th, BYD released its performance report for the first half of this year. BYD's revenue for the first half reached 371.3 billion RMB, an increase of 23%, surpassing Tesla's half-year revenue for the first time. Tesla's revenue for the first half of this year was $41.8 billion, which converts to 299.5 billion RMB, representing an 11% decline compared to last year. The revenues of the two companies are moving in opposite directions, one rising, the other falling. BYD's revenue for the first half of the year was 24% higher than Tesla's. Aside from their respective home markets, Europe is the main overseas battleground where the two companies compete. From January to July this year, Tesla registered a total of 119,000 new cars in Europe, a year-on-year decrease of 33.6%. During the same period, from January to July this year, BYD registered a total of 84,000 new cars in Europe, a staggering year-on-year increase of 290%. Looking at the cumulative numbers over 7 months, Tesla is still ahead, but the figures for July alone are quite surprising. According to data released by the European Automobile Manufacturers Association, in July this year, Tesla registered 8,837 new cars in Europe, compared to 14,769 units in the same period last year, representing a sharp drop of 40%. Its market share fell from last year's 1.4% to this year's 0.8%. In contrast, in July this year, BYD's sales in Europe surged by 225% year-on-year, reaching 13,503 units, with its market share rising to 1.2%. In July alone, BYD sold 53 more cars than Tesla in Europe, which can be seen as the beginning of BYD pulling ahead of Tesla. AJ Bell investment analyst Coatsworth said that in July this year, Tesla's new car registrations in Europe were underwhelming. The political role and high-profile remarks of its boss, Elon Musk, have damaged Tesla's brand image, and coupled with intense market competition, this has led to weak demand for Tesla. Coatsworth said that in contrast, the rapid growth of BYD's sales in Europe reflects the attitudes of European consumers. They trust this Chinese electric vehicle brand mainly because its prices are affordable, and BYD's models have repeatedly won awards, indicating high driver satisfaction. Its reputation is spreading rapidly. Since the beginning of this year, Tesla's sales have continued to decline, mainly because the market has developed an aversion to Musk. Even though he resigned from his position as an advisor to the US government efficiency department at the end of May, it still has not improved the situation. After Musk left Washington, he publicly clashed with Trump, further dragging down Tesla's stock price. So far this year, his stock price has dropped by 13%. The problem is, even though Tesla's stock price has fallen so much, its total market value is still $1.08 trillion, and its price-to-earnings ratio is as high as 200 times. Meanwhile, China's BYD has already surpassed Tesla in revenue. But BYD's total market value is only $988.3 billion, which is equivalent to $126.70 billion, just 12% of Tesla's market value. BYD's price-to-earnings ratio is also only 21 times. Tesla's business is already riddled with problems, so why is its stock price still so high? And if we take a closer look at the main culprits behind Tesla's business collapse, aside from marketing issues, the threat posed by the rise of competitors is also significant. European local brands, represented by Volkswagen, and Chinese brands, represented by BYD, are putting a squeeze on Tesla from both sides. In the first half of the year, Volkswagen Group's electric vehicle sales in Europe surged by 8 to 9%, reaching 348,000 units. Of these, the Volkswagen brand alone sold 133,000 units, surpassing Tesla's 109,000 units and becoming the new champion of electric vehicles in Europe. This is largely thanks to Volkswagen's strategy of pricing its ID.3 and ID.4 models at the same level as their gasoline counterparts. Škoda's pure electric vehicles also achieved a staggering 146% surge in sales. In addition, in the luxury car market, Porsche's electric vehicle deliveries also tripled. Although these European hosts were initially slow to transform, their momentum has now picked up. Their advantages in localization, multi-brand synergy, and a full range of product offerings have made it difficult for Tesla to compete. Meanwhile, Chinese brands are leveraging higher cost-performance ratios and advanced technology to break into the market. On one hand, Chinese electric vehicles are entering niche markets through competitive pricing strategies. For example, BYD's Dolphin is priced at €28,000 in Spain, which is about the same as Renault's car, but it offers an extra 120 kilometers of range. On the other hand, they are establishing differentiated competitive advantages through new technologies like assisted driving. For example, the Xpeng G9 is equipped with a full-scenario intelligent assisted driving system, which has been well received in markets like the Netherlands and Norway, where there is a higher acceptance of smart driving. The monthly repurchase rate has reached 18%. Although Chinese car manufacturers are currently facing some obstacles in the European market, with the rapid development of local supply chains and sales channels, Chinese automotive brands still have significant growth potential in the future. For Tesla, which is also a foreign entrant, this is not good news. Tesla is already the top player in the American automotive industry. Founded in 2003, it has only a 22-year history, making it a young company. Yet, unexpectedly, it has been overtaken by Chinese companies in Europe. As for other established American car manufacturers, they are even less able to compete with Chinese companies. On August 22nd, Bloomberg in the United States wrote the following sentence in The Lens of Strategy. If American car companies continue to underestimate Chinese technology, in 5 years we'll only be able to chase from behind in the rearview mirror. The author of the article is David Welch, a veteran editor who has tracked the global automotive supply chain for many years. He placed the story of Ford CEO Jim Farley making 5 trips to China in 6 months to airfreight the domestically produced Xiaomi SU7 electric car, disassembling it down to its components, in the most prominent position on the front page. The headline consisted of just one word: hymn book. He quoted Ford CEO Farley as saying that American car companies have been too arrogant in the past, and now they are being humbled by Chinese electric vehicle technology. It's time to bow their heads and learn. The blonde girl presented a series of data at the Hasperan Forum. She said that Chinese lithium iron phosphate batteries of the same class cost 18% less than those in the US and have 8% higher energy density. The unit price of Chinese LiDAR has already been reduced to $500, while Luminar's LiDAR of the same specification still costs $10 million. As for urban autonomous driving assistance systems, the number of users in several of China's emerging companies combined has already exceeded 1.2 million. While Tesla and others in the US together have not even reached 100,000. Ford CEO Jim Farley said he has looked into a lot of data, and this gap is not just a flash in the pan from a single Chinese company, but rather the result of the combined efficiency of the entire Chinese industrial chain. China holds 76% of the world's patents for lithium iron phosphate batteries, 68% of the global rare earth separation capacity, and this year, the domestic substitution rate for automotive-grade microcontroller chips has already reached 42%. Every single link in the chain is squeezed in the living space of American companies. The US is trying to slow down China's progress through blockades. In October last year, the US Department of Commerce added EDA software tools below 14 nanometers to its export control list. This May it also placed Chengde Times on the Entity List watch list. However, the reality is that 7-nanometer automotive-grade microcontroller chips have already begun pilot trials at companies like BYD and Horizon Robotics, and TSMC's Nanjing plant can still produce 28-nanometer Jingchengbi chips with computing power as high as 256 TOPS. The US blockade is nothing more than a nuisance. It has only caused all of America's own orders to flow elsewhere. What's even more troublesome is the hollowing out of the US supply chain. There are now only 2 low-pressure foundries left in the United States out of the original 20, and if one more shuts down, the supply of turbo racks for Ford electric vehicles will be cut off. Meanwhile, the newly built Zhuangjiadao single plant in Suzhou, China, already has an annual capacity of 800,000 sets of turbo racks, with a yield rate as high as 97%, and the production lead time from order to delivery is only 6 weeks. Farley said that the United States has underestimated the technological value of its Chinese competitor. Those were his words, translated. No matter how long the US embargo list gets, it can't stop China from using systematic investment to preserve entire supply chains at once, and then producing products that are cheaper, higher in quality, and faster to manufacture. In this tech war, the US is speeding down the highway, trying to drive against traffic, stepping hard on the gas while expecting oncoming cars to make way. But in reality, how could it possibly be that easy? Bloomberg can only remind Washington that true dominance doesn't lie in a sanctions list, but in production capacity, in workers, and in a supply chain that can't be broken. If the US wants to turn things around, it should first increase its low-pressure casting plants from 2 back to 20, and its rare earth separation plants from 0 to 10. Only then can it talk about decoupling from China. That's how it could be concluded. China's automotive industry is full of top-tier experts, and China's number 1 has already defeated America's best. At this point, it's hard to see any chance for the American champion to make a comeback. Other traditional American masters are now lowering themselves, hoping to learn some Chinese kung fu. But once they start learning, they realize that China's masters aren't just individual geniuses. The real strength lies in the entire martial arts community. However, America's martial arts world has been neglected for decades. Now the US wants to change the rules of the martial arts world, banning Chinese masters from competing at the Huashan Sword Summit. But will this really help American fighters improve their skills?